Hey you guys, my name is Taquisha. This is our freedom song and I am so happy that you're here. This video is loaded with great gardening content. I'm going to show you some quick seed starting methods. I'm going to be planting so many new things, as well as show you our simple setup that has been a total game changer. Let me tell you, so much great content. Stay tuned. So we have been out here like busy little bees, just buzzing all over, trying to get as much done as possible. Today is a much warmer day than it's been. Our snow has melted, and so it is time to get out here and do some of these things that absolutely need to be done so that we can be in a really good position when spring comes. We also picked up a couple yards of compost, and during our mini snow-in, I was able to make several trays of soil blocks so that I had plenty to do inside of the house, and I got a ton of seeds planted. Let me just assure you that my hands were absolutely freezing because I use the water from outside, and you know, with all of the cold and the snow, oh my goodness. So I actually love cooler temperatures. You guys know I talk about how much I love fall and fall gardening. So I would say that being inside of the greenhouse during our Arctic storm was kind of amazing. The greenhouse with a little space heater and a nice warm drink made this day so perfect. As you can see from all of the dancing, your girl's heart was so happy. So I've had trouble in the past with getting echinacea to grow, y'all. And so I decided that I was going to soak the seeds. I didn't know if that was a thing, but I'm like, it can't hurt, right? So I also am planting moringa. I've never planted it. I've never even tried it, but I've heard that it is amazing, along with my holy basil, because you know, holy basil makes me so happy. I am trying my hand at artichoke, and this kohlrabi is going to be the only brassica that I am growing in our spring garden. So I've actually started so many seeds, and right now I have so many I have so many baby plants, and so I'm having a little bit overwhelmed, if I'm being honest, because I'm like, wow, all of these babies is popped up. They need to be up potted, and so I need to do that soon. But I ran out of space, and I actually had to bring some plants out here in the greenhouse. So we built our greenhouse last year. Was it? No, 2 years. It's 2 years now. Well, in the spring, in the summer, it'll be 2 years. Anyway, it is unheated, and so I brought the little plants out here in the unheated greenhouse, y'all, because I was running out of space in my laundry room. So I have my setup in the laundry room. I love it. I love the humidity in there. Everything just drinks it up. Very happy in there. And so I started some more soil blocks and planted out some of my herbs. I really need to get herbs planted. I needed to get some more flowers started. So I started all that. It was fun to start it, but then I needed to make sure that I was going to be able to have some place to put them so that they can grow. And then I needed to plant more seeds And so I ran out of space and something had to go. So I picked 4 flowers to come out here into the greenhouse. Baby's breath, another one was chamomile, the third one was dahlias, and the fourth one is actually calendula. So because we were freezing at night still, I wanted to set up something where I could try to protect our seedlings. And so I put some bricks on the table, put the heating mats underneath that, and then put these windows here. And so what I did was just put these under here on the heating mat, and then I just put a blanket around the front to try to like keep in the heat. And these are dahlias that are grown from seed, and as you can see, they all look so good, y'all. They look so good. So when I brought them out here, they were not this big. So they're growing, but I just needed that space. And so I had to take a chance. This is the calendula. I'm underwhelmed with the germination. It looks about 50–60% has germinated. It did germinate in the house and then I brought it out here. So if these are still viable, they just haven't sprouted up yet because it's not been warm enough in here, but these have been on a heating mat as well. And so I am debating starting some more calendula. This is our chamomile, as you can see. Remember when I just sprinkled all those little seeds? This is what happened. They popped up and they're just so teeny tiny. The seeds were super teeny tiny, y'all. But look over here at this baby's breath. 1 million baby's breath is in this tray. It looks like thousands and thousands upon thousands of baby's breath, because those seeds were little as well. And I remember I sprinkled them all on here. And so I am really having to come to a decision on how I'm going to rectify this. I'm either going to have to, because I don't have hundreds of trays to individually pot all of these up. I don't. And so what I can do is I can thin it right in here and just like pull out. And it's so sad because look, they just all want to live. That's the other thing. It's so hard for me to thin out. They just all want to live and survive. And so I have the option of pulling this out and separating them all into individual pots, or I can just thin them out straight out of here. But look at this. That's like a good 15 plants in one little cube. And so I have to thin these out so they can actually grow. I was so excited about baby's breath because I just want to see it everywhere. It's so whimsical. So I really leaned into this, leaned into the chamomile, tried to lean into the calendula, but you can see how that's going. Leaned into the dahlias from seed. So much more affordable if you plant dahlias from seed, y'all, because what's going to happen, this is going to grow into a dahlia flower, and then the tuber is going to be under the ground. And so after this year, I'll have so many dahlia tubers, but one packet of seeds, will give you, right now, I think I have 60 dahlias. And so, because I have some in the house as well, I have a ton of these because this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right here, I have 55 dahlias, and in the house I probably have a good 10. So I might have even like 60 to 65 dahlias, and I'm so excited about that because I've not been this successful with starting these seeds. These soil blocks really are incredible and I love it. They're very healthy and thick. They're also not fighting for a lot of space. Like this tray that I have, you see how thin it is? That's very small. But to start a whole lot of seeds, I needed small space. I do have a small soil blocker that a friend let me use. And so I'm going to be making some small soil blocks so that I can start more seeds just on a smaller scale, especially with them being cool weather flowers, since they don't have to be in the tray for too long. I do want to take you guys in the house so that you can see how the plant babies are looking right now. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. like I said, it's exciting and it's a little bit overwhelming when you see them all pop up, because now you are very much so responsible for trying to keep those babies alive. Okay, so this is the setup inside of our laundry room, and I'm gonna give you a closer look of all the plants, but it's a super simple setup. Try to come out. I came in here last night and weeded out some soil blocks that didn't have a seed in it, that had germinated, just so that I could reuse the soil blocks. And so that's what you see here. All of these soil blocks on the right of those dahlia little babies are empty, and I'm going to be using those. I also have two of our 6 cell trays from American Tray Company that are empty because nothing germinated in those. I actually have 3 because this one is that as well. And those 3 back there are actually echinacea. I'm just hoping for the best because I forgot that I should not have covered them, and I did. So I don't really know, but this is not on a heating mat right now. And so I need to get it on a heating mat so that I can at least give it a really great chance of survival. Y'all, yes, this is spinach. Look at this spinach germinating inside of the laundry room when I could not get spinach to germinate forever. So this is actually going to be going out today. I'm going to be planting that spinach out because it does love the cold weather. I have the feverfew that germinated, as well as some status down there. This is the eggplant that germinated, the Casper eggplant. I also have the Thai green fingers that's an eggplant, and that germinated as well. So lots of little baby plants there. So up here I have a ton of little baby plants. I have my peppers and some more flowers. Y'all, look at this bachelor button tray. It is, look at these roots. You see those? They are ready to go somewhere because those roots, man, are so long. So our thyme, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. This will be the first time I started thyme or oregano from seed. Okay, I pulled it down so you could have a better look. But yes, all of this oregano, and I had a little light bulb because this is light germinated, so I didn't cover that at all. Thyme also was light germinated, so I did not cover that. This is the sweet William flower, and then that wild bergamot, y'all, that I was so happy about, germinated in 2 cells, which is so interesting. So these other cells are available. I am reusing soil, so I will replant inside of these cells. And then we have our carnations, which only 3 of them look like they are going to live, maybe a couple more. But these asters, oh my goodness. So it's time for me to pot those up. They are beautiful. I love how healthy they look. And y'all know that I said that that was one of my favorite flowers last year. The status over here was light germinated. And so that was one of the things that I was just really nervous about, but they are ready to be like potted and in their own space so that they can grow and be healthy. But the status is such a really beautiful plant as well. My peppers are starting to get some extra leaves. I really need to take these out and put them in their own individual cells so that they could be great. We do have a few of these peppers that also need to be potted and put in their own space. So all of these are straw flower seedlings. And I'm so excited about having so many straw flowers. The seeds were so viable. The germination rate was absolutely incredible. And so I'm going to have a ton. And I just planted one variation, which is this silvery pinkish color. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful in the garden. And I really wanted to lean into this variety of flower because it dries so well. It's a papery type of flower, and I really want to be able to preserve the flower. And so this is one that I can preserve. I believe the status is another one I can preserve. So I'm really happy that I'm going to be growing some flowers that is going to last beyond the harvest. I did plant some more peppers. I had less pepper germination rate that I would hope for. Not all of them germinated, so I really wanted to lean into the ones that I really want to grow. So I planted some more shishito peppers, and so you can see that that's starting to germinate. Inside this tray right here is where I have a ton of herbs. And so I planted sage. So all of this is sage, and I planted some borage, and that's popping up right here. That's the borage. I'm excited about that. Over here, that is our kohlrabi. So a brassica. I think that's the only brassica that I actually sowed for the spring because I really want that to grow and do well. In these little pots right here, this is actually poppy, and it popped up, and so I'm so happy about it because I don't think that my other poppies are gonna have good success. One area in particular, because I accidentally covered it with wood chips, and so they need all that light to germinate. Over here I have artichoke. I've never grown artichoke from seed, and so I'm really hoping the best for that. And then in the end, I have some valerian, which I really want to grow. I don't see any germination yet, and so I'm still waiting. I'm still hoping. So yeah, this is a whole tray of lots of herbs, and then I have one more tray of herbs which I planted all holy basil. But this tray in the back, I also have lots of herbs, but none of them have popped up yet. In this little cake pan, I have it's just pretty much a humidity dome. So if you are needing to create some humidity, this was a super inexpensive way to do it. I bought 2 of these with 2 lids for $3, and so it's a really great thing if you're looking for a way to create that very humid atmosphere. And then these are little peat pots that I decided to try out for the first time for things that have sensitive roots. I primarily, inside of this container, sowed the Madonna lace flower, which is so beautiful. I really hope it germinates. I see no germination in that yet. And then those last 3 over there are the poppies. So I planted and I had the poppies in here, and when they popped up, I took them out because they no longer needed all of that humidity, and now they're going to need light. And so these are on a heating mat. And then this fun container right here that I want to tell you guys about, with some little baby sprouts in it. This is the straw flower, and it has little sprouts, and it's just in vermiculite. And so I was just trying to see if I could use a medium like this to plant in, and it worked. And this one, I did the same thing, and this is our snapdragons, and I just put vermiculite in a bowl. There's no holes at the bottom, and I just kept the vermiculite wet. And I did have the dome on these because these are like the little trays that you get to take your lunch. And so I had the lids on these so that they can germinate. Once I saw that some were germinating, I took the lids off because I didn't want to cause any problems with those. So these really need to come out and be potted. I think that that's going to be a challenge in itself just because it's so small. I'm going to be making some mini soil blocks, and then I'm just going to stick these in the mini soil blocks and let them grow like that. And I just want to show you guys how the humidity actually works. So I had no germination on this yesterday, and it may just be happenstance, but I came in here last night and put this on there. This is sitting on a heating mat. This is all of my Tulsi basil. And I'm looking right now for the first time, and they've all popped up. overnight. As you can see, lots of germination, lots of condensation on this little plastic wrap right here, which I absolutely believe helped to bring these beauties alive. They brought them up. And so I did a large tray of Tulsi basil because that is something I really want to lean into as well. I want to plant lots of that because that is a very great herb to use for medicinal purposes. And so I tried several times to find it online. Every time I go to purchase some, it's all sold out. I really wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to have enough of this to sow in a specific area so that I can harvest it and be able to build my apothecary myself with this herb. So I'm actually going to remove this because I don't need to keep it on there since a lot of them have popped up. Because what will happen is when you do that, it'll start to, it can get like moldy. You can get mold and mildew and all the things on there. And so once it germinates, I just remove the plastic and I'm just going to reuse it because this side actually didn't have, like, it was missing like a little corner. So inside of here I have planted my roselle hibiscus, which I'm so excited about. I think that it's so amazing. The benefits, the medicinal benefits are incredible. I drink it nightly in my herbal tea. This is just one of the staples that I have inside my apothecary that I knew that I needed to then plant myself so that I could have my own source of getting something that I feel like is something that I'm going to be using daily in my life. And so definitely this is a lot. I planted 3 or 4 plants in each one of these containers. They don't have sensitive roots from what I understand, and so I planted these here in these bigger containers so that I can then split them up later. But this is a lot of plants and I don't exactly know where I'm going to put this many. I think I am going to have to split it up throughout the garden, but I know it's something that I really, really want. It is a perennial, so I'm hoping that I can have residual years of this one effort. But if not, I am going to be saving my seeds as well. So another thing that I am planting is moringa. I've never planted that before. I don't know what it is about this tray. It just is so dry. These are fine. So I have echinacea in this front half, and in the back half I have the moringa, and we'll see. I never planted it. It might be a tree. I think that I'll probably be giving some away because I don't need as many as I planted. But one of you guys sent me a pack of those seeds and I'm so grateful. And I just want you to know I'm planting those. And so I soaked them overnight. They are a really big seed. So cool. They look really cool. And now I've planted them and I'm just hoping for the best. I do think that I should probably put the plastic over this to create humidity for this as well. I've also not plugged up the heat for this, so I think maybe I'll get better, a lot faster germination. And I am assuring that the soil is actually warm enough to germinate seeds. I'm going to be sowing these passion flowers. I'm really excited about it. I tried before, but I don't think I did it right. So I'm trying again. I would love for these to grow. They are a vining flower. And so they just look so cool. I'm hoping for the best this time. I also have several other flowers that I'm going to be planting today as well. So I'm going to be replanting verbena. This verbena lasted past the frost and because I switched up our area where our orchard is, I had to pull them up. And so they are perennial. I did try to replant them in other areas. I don't know if they are going to come back or not. So I am going to replant those because they have an incredible amount of medicinal uses. And so I want that. Some more calendula. This is a different variety. It's called Pink Surprise, and so I want to plant that, as well as some more status, because this is an apricot status. I think that would be absolutely beautiful. The status that I've planted so far are, I think, white, pink, and purple. This will add so much color to the garden. I'm also going to be starting some of these bunching onions today. I just got this from Dollar Tree. And so in this little container, I had turmeric in here that I bought from the store. And so I'm just going to reuse this container, put some soil in there, spread those seeds in there, and moisten it, close it up, and kind of just forget about it. Let it do its thing. And that's going to be really great because I'm planting a lot more onion and garlic throughout the whole garden this year. Instead of in my garlic and onion beds, I have those, which I do have more onions that need to be planted today. I'm going to be starting bunching onions so that I can use that as pest control throughout the garden. Okay, so I have a tray full of things that I'm going to be experimenting with this year. One is this horseradish. So I want to plant this, put it in a bucket, and see what happens. Have any of you grown horseradish? And if you have, please leave me all of your wonderful tips and tricks on how I can be successful with this. This says that horseradish requires little attention and grows well, even in northern climates. So we're going to see about this horseradish. Another thing that I'm going to be doing, y'all, is planting this ginger. How many packs of ginger do I need to get and not plant them? And so these don't really have any nodules that's growing. I've seen people that, once the ginger starts to sprout and then they put it in, but I'm just going to put it in some soil because I keep procrastinating with this thing and I just need to get some ginger in the soil. I know that this likes warm since it's more of a tropical type of plant. And so I'm going to actually keep this inside of the house on a growing mat, or maybe in the greenhouse. I don't know, but I'm going to make sure that the soil stays nice and warm so it can germinate. So I have 2 packs of this that I really want to see. So I'll be growing these in pots outside. Another thing that I want to experiment with is this sugarcane. So I found this at the store and I'm thinking you can root this and grow it. That would be so cool to have growing in the garden, to have sugarcane grown in the garden. And so definitely grow along with me and we can see together how that is going to turn out. And then rhubarb. So I've never planted rhubarb. I've never even tasted rhubarb, y'all. I don't know why, but I've never tasted it. And so I'm going to be planting this rhubarb and we're just going to see what happens. If you have any tips and tricks about rhubarb and growing it, I would love for you to share it with all of us down in the comment section. Okay, this is the turmeric that's been sitting in my refrigerator for ages that I was supposed to plant a long time ago that I didn't plant, but today is the day. So with this sugarcane, I think for experimental purposes, I want to try to root it 2 ways. I want to try to root it in water and I want to try to just root it in soil. And so that is going to be the experimental piece with this. So I'm going to cut this up, and I guess from my understanding, the node is right here, right? Like where it separates. And so I want to try to, I could either do like one node where I'm just saving like this part and then planting it or putting it in water. This is the part that it's coming from. Or I could do like a 2-node cutting. And so I think for this, since it has technically 4 nodes, because I don't know, that one kind of just looks dried up, but maybe I just cut it in half. And so it depends on where it's cut, I think determines, like this one is really 2 nodes, even though it's just as long as the other one. So I would need to cut this just in half so that I could have 1 node here and then another node there. And so that is what I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to, I think it's like sweet potatoes, like how you are keeping the soil nice and moist and, you know, spraying it if it looks dry. I'm actually going to put it in this bowl right here and put a lid over it just for that humidity. And since it's not like super hot, it's not even super hot in the house. So that is how I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do the second set using water. So just popping it in there, wherever the node is, just cutting it, popping it in the water and letting it grow roots from the node. This is how I'm cutting these, y'all. I am just putting it on the ground with our cutters, like pruners, big pruners, and I'm just cutting it like that. Just so you know I wasn't being fancy over here. I do have all of this cut up. This is what it's looking like. I'm just gonna put that in there. And let's see, let me show you how much soil's in there. So I always use my finger to measure. So that's about 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches of soil. I'm just gonna pop these in there, just kind of push them down. I kind of want to use that one for the water. I feel like that's a good one for the water. When they only have like, they have like a long stalk and only 1 nodule. I feel like I can put that in a glass of water really nicely. So that's kind of my thought process behind that on what I'm choosing. I would like for it to have 2 nodules, putting it in here since I'm laying it flat on the surface. We'll see if it works out that way. That's another good water one. I have to choose here, and this is an interesting one. And this is just potting mix. It doesn't have any extra anything inside of it that I added. So from what I understand, I'm supposed to leave a little bit peeking out, which is like sweet potatoes as well. So it's not completely buried. This is just a water bottle with just water in it. I'm just gonna moisten the top. I didn't read anything that said to do this, but I'm just going with my gut as far as putting the lid on. So I am going to be putting the lid on. I didn't see anything that said, you know, anything about humidity or anything like that. But from what I'm thinking, if it's nice and humid inside of here, that is going to create an environment for roots to grow. So we'll see. Maybe it might create an environment for mold to grow. I won't know unless I try. I had a sweet friend gift this to me last year for my birthday, and I think that this is perfect. I just rinsed it out. I think it's perfect because it's narrow. I was looking for something that would be like narrow for them to stand up, and all of my bowls were either circle or square, and I'm like, I want them to be able to stand up and not lean over to the side. And so this might be exactly what I needed for this project. Okay, 5 canes could fit in here. I have one left, so I'm just gonna squeeze that in here because I like the idea. And watch this one grow so fast. I like the idea of having this where it can all stand up. I don't have any more room for that to fit, and so I think we need to make room in here for this one. It's kind of crooked too, so okay. I'll put some more soil on that. Make sure it has what it needs to grow some roots. Ah, so exciting. It's so fun. Okay, that one's all set. Now we're going to add some water to this. How cute is that, y'all? That's going to be so cool to watch that grow and root and be able to see it. Love it. This might be exactly what this is perfect for. Okay, so next up, let's get some ginger planted. I am just going to be using these, I think, what are they? 4x4s, and stick some of this ginger in here. I'm going to take a piece off like this and stick it in this pot. Stick it in there. Make sure it can fit in. And then I'm going to cover it with soil. I've heard there's different ways you can do it, but you can try to root it first, or you could just put it in a pot. And at this point, I'm just happy to just be putting it in a pot because I've done horrible. So I'm just planting a couple in here. Okay, so I ended up doing 6 ginger. I have these 3 for the turmeric, and I'm just going to do the same thing. I kind of have 3 big pieces of turmeric, so I'm going to put one of those in each one. And then I have some little pieces that I'm just going to stick in there. And some shriveled up pieces. They're probably dead, but let's put those in there anyway. Just cover it all up. Turmeric. Okay, so I just dumped this horseradish root out, and that is a very good sign. It is covered with roots and new growth. That makes me very happy and very confident in both of these. So I actually recently got these very large pots because I need them for things like tomatoes, because I'm starting my tomatoes early, and last year they got so big. I really felt like I should have had a bigger pot. I used the solo cups, which are fine, especially if you're going to, plant your tomatoes as directed, and you're going to do it like 4 to 6 weeks. I planted mine at least 8 weeks before, and I felt like it needed more room, and so I'm going to give these a try. But these are actually perfect for this horseradish, and so I'm actually going to use this pot for horseradish, and I'm also going to use that same pot, I think, to plant out this rhubarb, because I want it to have enough growing space inside of here, and then whenever it's time to plant it out into a bigger pot, I can do that. Okay, I just wanted to show you what I was doing real quick. I'm just whipping up some potting soil. This is the compost that I showed you guys from the back of the truck. It's nice and dark. And then I'm just adding some vermiculite and perlite, and I'm mixing it all in, and then I'm going to add it to the pots. I'm also going to add a scoop of this worm casting in there. So since I know I'm planting for those to be in the pot for a little bit. I want to make sure that I am adding some fertilizer in there along with it. Just gonna make a hole in the middle and then stick this beauty just all the way down in there. I'm trying to get to the bottom because it says to make sure to plant it 3 inches deep, and so I'm gonna make sure I get that as deep as I can get it. I think this one is so tall that I cannot cover it. Come on, cover. Okay. Horseradish planted. So this is what the rhubarb looks like right out of the pack. It didn't have any soil in it. It just had these little wood shavings, and it's growing already. So I think I'm gonna do it a little different. I think I'm gonna make sure to plant this, but I think I'm gonna leave these popping out of the top because it's clearly looking awesome. And then the only other thing I was wondering if I should separate it, like if I should put it in 2 different containers or just put it in the same container. And I'm kind of leaning towards putting it in the same container. It says that it's a hardy perennial, and so that's great. It's a part of the buckwheat family. Ooh, what should I do? If I do it in 2 separate containers, then they will both have their own root systems. I think that's what I'm gonna do, just so that I can make sure I can plant them in different spaces if I want to do that. Okay, so I just misted this root of this rhubarb because it was looking a little dry and crispy. And I'm just going to put it in here. I am going to separate the 2 since it is a perennial. I did read that it will, to not harvest it, kind of like asparagus, like how you're supposed to not harvest it until the 2nd year. And so I am going to separate these 2 so that when I plant them out into their own individual pots, I can have two plants of rhubarb. And so I'm keeping the crown above the soil, which is just like this little top piece. And then I am popping the rest of it inside. So yeah, so that's one. And here is the second one. Okay, so I wanted to quickly talk about these onions because, you know, I've been waiting to plant my onions. It's time to plant them. You know, I planted these back in November, and I wanted to do a side-by-side growth comparison to see if the ones I planted in November, how they compare to the ones that I'm about to plant in January. But when receiving these, I know that it's not going to be equal because the ones that I got in November were teeny tiny. They were like this. So I didn't get any that look like an onion you can eat right now. So I just really don't think it's going to be a fair comparison because a lot of these onions are big. A lot of them are small, but we have chunky ones like this. And so I can't really compare apples to apples because it's just not, it's not comparable with the size. Some of them are, but then I would have to try to place them different places to see. Look at this onion. Look at this. This is an onion that can be eaten right now. That's wild, right? Look at this. Look at that. I'm not going to be able to do this side by side, but I wanted to show you guys what I am going to be doing, which is these little two circles that I have here. I'm not planting onions in those circles because when it comes spring, I'm going to be planting tomatoes there. And since our onions won't be ready to harvest, I think till around June, I'm going to need to leave myself space to plant in April when it's time to plant out my tomatoes. So I have planned this bed out. It's going to be, the majority of it is going to be our onions, but I'm going to have a tomato here and a tomato here. And then I'm going to have cucumbers or pumpkins or cantaloupe or beans, whatever I end up coming up with, to be at the back, because Thomas and I added trellises to this bed. We came out yesterday and we added the T-post and our cattle panels to make 2 trellises in this area. The reason why I love putting them so high is because the higher I can put the arches, that means the more space something has to trellis up. And so that is why I am just loving having all of these high, very high trellises, because if you think about it, if something is going to be 8 to 10 feet long, if I go up higher, it gives me, I can grow something on the right side and it can reach the middle and still be 10 feet long. And I can grow something on the left side and it can reach the middle and still be 10 feet long. So just having those higher arches is something that I've really loved in our garden. Wood chips right here is actually not the same wood chips that you saw in the last video. I got another chip drop and I did not need as much. And so definitely trying to figure out where all these wood chips are going. We are doing another layer and just in our drive. And so that's great. Filled up some beds. That's great. Still have a ton of wood chips to use, which is very usable. And so I'm grateful for it. And we are almost done. This pile was probably 2 to 3 times larger than our last pile, which is so crazy. Okay, so back to these arches. What I also wanted you to know is I'm actually going to be planting, this is something fun and new I'm going to be doing in the garden for this next spring season, is I'm going to be planting my indeterminate tomatoes right there, and I'm going to use the top of the arch with a string in order to hold that up. And so I just think that's going to be such a cool thing this spring. And I'm not only doing it right here, I'm doing it in several areas in the garden. It seems like I will just be able to plant a lot less, but y'all, I think I'm going to be able to plant quite a bit in this new space that we've developed, at least what we've grown before. And I'm really thinking more, because as I'm really planning out each space, I think that that is what's going to help me be really efficient as far as planting as much as I can. And so this year I'm really looking into intensive planting. So I'm going to be planting a vining plant along the back side so that it can go up the trellis. I'm going to be planting the two indeterminate tomatoes in each bed. And I could probably do 3, honestly. I could probably do 3, but I'm going to do 2. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So this next upcoming spring season, I really want to plant cantaloupe. I want to plant melons up on the trellis. I think it's going to be, I'm missing a whole earring. I'm missing a whole earring on that side. I wonder where that fell out. But this next season, I want to be able to plant our cantaloupe on these trellises as well. And so I'm really, really excited about that. Thank you guys so much for joining me in the garden today. It always makes my heart so happy to know that you guys want to grow along with me. You are here for the journey. I appreciate you. Take care until next time, my friends.